TribeMeets is a company that I co-founded with my co-founder Sade. I'm the CEO of the company, and it's all about bringing people of the African diaspora together.
Our chokehold for this week, our internet chokehold, is that we were doing research and we were reading about the loneliness epidemic.
These people within your life to feel like your life is fulfilled. And I think when you don't have that, that can be very isolating.
There's a need, you know, and the thing is, we understand and recognize that marriage is hard. Other people recognize it. Why are we not in community with each other? I mean, we all recognize and are doing and kind of going through very similar experiences. We need to build community.
Welcome to
Marriage Pinnacles Chats from the Peak, where God's favorites link up. My name is Dr. Lara.
And I'm Memi.
And we have another special guest. So you're just giving them back to back to back. We have one half of a platform that we're going to get into a little bit later, which kind of ties our episodes together. But we have one half of the founders of a platform called TribeMeets. We have founder Abby Osei-Tutu. Yeah, come on, girl, give me the energy, big boss energy. And so, what was you about to say? I feel like
I just said love that.
Oh, love that. Looks like you about to say something for sure. But we have her here today, representing the brand, representing the set. And we're just going to get into a healthy conversation. We have really strategized for season 2 about making sure that, yes, we are a marriage support platform. So I'm going to get into that really quick. So Marriage Pinnacle is a marriage support platform where we aim to really discuss the highs and the lows of marriage. And we do that on Chats from the Peak from a cultural lens, a clinical lens, and a little bit of life experience. And as we have continued to grow this platform, we really understood the importance of all of the other things outside of the actual marriage that are really important. You know, the things that make healthy marriages last, the things that help healthy marriages form, all of the things. And so in reaching out to our community, we've recognized that having community has been like paramount, you know, and as myself and Memi were thinking about how we can be intentional for season 2, we wanted to make sure that we could talk about ourselves all day. I feel like we can do that. But how can we bring guests that we feel like are really going to pour into our community, but then also kind of solidify and reinforce a lot of the things that we talk about in a marriage and a relationship aspect.
That's good. Perfect.
Yeah, so today we have Abby from TribeMeets, and I'm going to ask that you tell us a little bit about yourself first, and then you can talk to us about TribeMeets, or if it's a blend of the two, however.
I'll just form it together.
Come on, do it, girl. Do it how you do it.
So, my name is Abby Osei-Tutu. I am originally from Ghana. Shout out to all my Ghanaians.
Come on now, Black Star.
Come on, Black Star.
I was raised in Worcester, Massachusetts, and I was just telling these ladies here that Worcester is a little Ghana. So I grew up really ingrained within the Ghanaian culture. The food that I eat is Ghanaian. The music that I listen to is Ghanaian and Nigerian. I can't hold you.
What to say?
But I feel like being Ghanaian and being raised Ghanaian is a huge part of my identity. And that goes into TribeMeets too, right? But I also am trained as a clinical therapist.
Shake my hand. Come on now. Couldn't have planned it better.
So I love the mental health field. I've been in it for almost 9 years now. I've been a therapist for 8 years now. So I really enjoy what I do. I love unpacking with people. I love processing with people. I love...
Opposite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, girl. It's a lot sometimes.
You don't like the therapy part of it.
It's not that I don't like it. my patients knew I loved them. I did.
Yeah.
But it is overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Especially when you have life and you just like, whoo, this is heavy.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
You know, the thing about therapy is I think I've done a really good job at creating boundaries for myself.
Of course you have to.
When it's shut down season, like when I shut down my laptop and I'm done for the day, I am done for the day. I do not think about my client. I'm sorry, but I don't. I don't think about my client.
It has to be that way.
I'm gonna go have a good time.
Yeah.
I'm all about like making sure that I'm enjoying my life, so that when I work, it's cool, but I'm working so I can enjoy life, right?
It's just cool.
So, so yeah, that's a bit about me.
Yeah.
And then about TribeMeets.
Yes.
So TribeMeets is a company that I co-founded with my co-founder Sade. I'm the CEO of the company, and it's all about bringing people of the African diaspora together. Especially those who have recently relocated. So if you've relocated from the continent of Africa to the United States, or you've moved from state to state, we're able to help you find community and also help you to link you to resources that help your transition a bit smoother in 6 months, right? So our goal is that in 6 months, if you move here, right now we're starting in the DMV. If you move to the DMV, we want to connect you with people and want to connect you with resources so that you feel like you're at home. We are currently about to launch our Mighty Networks platform, which will be, God willing, in the end of November or early December. So we're really excited about bringing our community to an online space so that they can help each other as well. And we have like a place that we can, a main place that we can have our resources go to, and we can answer questions. We could just be more in touch with our community.
I love that.
We have community events. We're having one November 9th. If you're gonna watch this before that.
So by the time this episode drops,
no,
that would have been on a different probably event number 2.
That's fine. So
we'll put all the information in so they can stay up to date.
Yeah.
We have events all the time. So if you are new in the area and you're looking for community, you're just looking for resources, hit us up. We'll help you. That's awesome. That's a bit about me and TribeMeets.
Awesome.
That is such a cool business idea.
Thank you.
And it's like, I know we don't want to go too far, but how did you come up with that?
Yeah,
like,
I
what
was
made
just about to
you?
ask my question.
Is that
Hey, partner.
I
We are partner.
God, I'm trying to be serious.
I know, I'm so sorry. Like, we're never serious.
Sorry.
But go ahead.
Oh, you guys are funny. This is good.
Told you. Okay, I'm sorry. We're done. We're done.
Okay,
Sorry
so how did TribeMeets? Okay, the TribeMeets, the idea came because you know what's funny? I actually thought about TribeMeets during 2020, as a lot of people thought about ideas, right? As we were stuck in our houses, just trying to think of like, what is my life gonna look like? What do I want to do? Like, what is my legacy gonna be? I had also just gone through a really terrible breakup. I was with my ex-boyfriend at the time for like 7 years, right? And then we broke up, and that breakup just like brought me to this really negative space. Of course, I grieved, right? So in that time, I remember just thinking like, okay, I think I might be ready to date now or whatever. I just wish that there was an app that I could use that would allow me to like look for people who are African, because I would like to date. So like,
not Bumble, not
exactly.
And narrow it down. I get it.
Because I would love to marry somebody who's African. Yes. Specifically, I would love to marry somebody who's Ghanaian, right? Yes. So I was like, it would be so nice if there was an app where you could just go in and say, I want to marry this type of person. This boom, 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 and then and I called my one of my mentors, Daniel, and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about this idea. What do you think? I like literally sat down and wrote everything that I wanted, like on a piece of on a Google Doc. Like everything that was in my brain just came onto that Google Doc. And I called him and I said, hey, I'm thinking about this idea. What do you think? He's like, I think it's a great idea, but you can't do it on your own. I said, why not? He said, it's going to be a lot to do on your own.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot.
So figure out who you want to partner with. I thought about Sade, and then we've both moved so many places. So I've lived in Westfield, Massachusetts. I lived in Boston, Massachusetts. I lived in Philadelphia. Then I moved here, right? So when you move, you kind of have to start all over again all the time. And we just wanted to be able to provide people with like a starter kit. Like, oh, you don't have to start from ground. Like, we got you. Like, this is your soft landing space, right? Where you can come and we got you with whatever you need. And then we send you on your way, right? In 6 months, we want you to be like, oh, I feel good here.
Yeah, I'm good.
Right? Exactly. So that's how it all came about. We focus on the community piece after doing a lot of customer discovery and realizing that that's really like what people exactly. And then if we want to do dating later, we can. Which honestly, it happens
kind of organically.
I mean, we've there's a couple that
y'all got success stories.
No, for real.
Come on now.
There's a couple that's engaged after they met at our first event. And it's like, so So yeah, it's been
That's really cool.
Rewarding.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was gonna ask, like, Memi touched on it a little bit. So when I think about myself and Memi and our partnership, I know the areas I'm strong in. I know the areas that Memi's strong in. So what would you say? And obviously, we want Sade to fact check in the comments.
Yeah.
So what would you say is your strength and that what you bring to the table, and what do you think Sade brings to the table?
I think that Sade is meticulous. She's an engineer, right? So she's very operational.
Cost estimator.
Yeah. So I'm like the dreamer. I'm like, let's do this.
Come on. Come on. We can do it tomorrow.
Right. I'm like, let's.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, how much is that gonna cost? Like, what's the logistics around that? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, I guess we gotta. Okay, let's think about it more.
Yeah.
So
Just wanted everybody. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm over here dreaming in La La Land. And she's like, let's rein
Bring
it
it back to reality.
Yeah.
That is so funny. I did not expect that. I didn't know where it was gonna go. But that's so funny.
Yeah, I would say that would be the things that we're really good at. I think that I would say that I'm also like a really good I would say like a people person. So like I can
network.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't really enjoy networking.
Really?
Yeah, I don't enjoy it because I really like authentic connections.
Yeah.
And sometimes networking can feel very unauthentic.
Of course. Yeah, it can. You're right.
So I think I may just have to figure out how to mentally put myself in a space where it doesn't feel so like
reframe
exchanging.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It just feels like,
transactional.
what can I get from you?
And
What can you get from
I
me?
think a good way is like you have a naturally, like even me and you just talking. It's like it's you have a natural chemistry with people that I can tell you're a people person. What you say?
Y'all talking off camera?
Yeah, we were. And so, but that is, I feel like if you go into networking with that, like just looking at it like, oh, you're interesting, I'd like to know more about you. And like you said, don't even think about like what can we do. It's just, I think that's what works for us. Just kind of like getting to know people. And I also don't love networking, but I do like people.
Yeah,
so
same.
I come at it from that approach.
Yeah, same. I really love people. I think that with TribeMeets, right, let's say we're fundraising, right? Or because, we need money to build a platform, we need money to keep it going, right? So when you get into those spaces when you're like, I need money. And I'm going to have to talk to somebody. Like you're pitching yourself. You're pitching TribeMeets all the time. In those environments, it can feel draining. And sometimes I check in with myself and say, I need a break. I need a break from that. But then I know that if I want TribeMeets to be successful, we need money, so we're gonna have to do.
We have
no choice, right?
That's a good point too.
So yeah, it's.
And so where do you feel like Sade falls on the line? Do you feel like she's similar, or she's like, oh, I like networking?
I think we're the same when it comes to that. Yeah, I think we're the same. I think we have to like push each other to be like, okay. You take that one. I'll take this one. You know what I mean? Kind of divide and conquer.
Nice. I think with me and Memi, I don't mind networking. I feel like I feel like we equally know a lot of people, but I think Memi, not to say that it's because we want something from somebody, but Memi will like have a relationship with somebody, even if it's like not close proximity anymore. But I'm like,
did you ask that?
Did you ask that? I'm like, oh, like you have access to them. So it's not like. Right. It's not like blank slate. Like you know them a little bit.
It's always better when there's like, a little in. That's
I have a hard time with it.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I have a hard time with it. Like putting myself out there in that, like, because it's vulnerable, right?
Yeah, it is.
So like
it is
putting myself in that position is really tough.
Yeah.
Like
I hear you.
I'd be like, so you mean to tell me you knew this person all the time? Like you did not even bother to ask them? They don't know about Mary Pinnacle?
I mean, what do you say?
No, that's real.
Yeah. No, it's hard though. It is hard, especially when you feel like there is benefit. Yeah. And when you know you have something that's so good, like you have something so good, and that you like people just need to know about it. So I feel like
you need this.
And the thing also with TribeMeets, sometimes when we're in these spaces, in these networking spaces, right? It's a lot of older white men, right?
I can imagine.
And I don't know what it is. I think that's something I have to train myself as well, right? Of just being in these spaces with white men who have a lot of privilege and they just walk around like they have no care. I'm just like,
they don't have to work.
Right? And I've literally had to tell myself, like, you gotta walk around like a white man, an older white man.
It's true.
You have to.
I love that.
Because if you don't, it's really hard to be in those spaces and talk to them and be confident. And because that's how they walk with this like air. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So, Mem, do you want to talk a little bit about like our setup?
Yeah, so I'll go into our episode on kind of how we're structured. So we did our introductions, and we talk about like internet chokeholds. So that could be anything that like me and Lara have seen online or our guests have seen. So just to kind of make it relatable to our audience, and then after that, we normally do relationship gems or just life gems, and then while asking you questions. Cool. So as we're asking you questions and getting to know you, then we'll capture the gems as we go. Because there's always a lot of gems. So good. Our chokehold for this week, our internet chokehold, is that we were doing research and we were reading about the loneliness epidemic. And that's something that we saw in your brochure as well. And so that's not something that we are familiar with, you know, and it's something that, and it's like me and Lara, we both grew up, like how you grew up in Ghanaian community, we grew up in the Nigerian community,
very much.
And our moms were very, very involved in the community. So it's like when Lara has a baby, her house is like filled to the top. With like diapers, you know. And same with when I had my first son, I didn't have to buy a diaper or wipe for like 2 years. You know, so it's like the community is thick. So it's very hard for us to feel lonely. And so when I was watching these videos of these people talking about it got emotional. It made me feel kind of sad because I'm just like, I can't imagine that feeling, like living in a world with billions of people and feeling alone. That's that really struck a chord with us. And so I love that, you know, TribeMeets is basically trying to do something about that, especially for our brothers and sisters in diaspora. So I just kind of like, how does the loneliness epidemic like have you ever experienced that? Do you know people that
for sure.
What can you tell us more about that?
You know, I also grew up so I grew up in Worcester, and that community was very tight knit. Like everybody knows each other. So completely, I resonate with you. When my sister gave birth, she didn't have to, you know, buy diapers or wipes for years. Right?
That community steps up.
All the time, right? I mean, there was a grandma that always watched everybody's kids. Like the community is so tight, right? But I think it's when you leave, right?
And we're both here. We're you know, I left and came back, but it's true. You're here. You stay.
I've never left. I've been in Maryland my entire life.
And that's amazing that you've been able to do that, right? And create such a tight knit community that you know, no matter what, they're gonna show up for you. It's when you leave that community. I think you know. Leaving Worcester and moving to Philadelphia right, to go to graduate school. I think I had one friend that was there at the time, and I had to create everything else after that. And it was lonely. You know, at that time I was in a relationship, and my boyfriend at the time lived in New Jersey. So it was just me in Philadelphia, no family, one friend, and starting graduate school. And I was like, what the hell? Why did I even come here, right? I could have stayed in Massachusetts and went to a state school and been fine. And still had my family 25-30 minutes away. But it does get lonely. You don't have like a phone call is great, but you need people like around. You need somebody to go grab drinks with. You need somebody to study with. You need somebody to go eat with. Like you need these people within your life to feel like your life is fulfilled. And I think when you don't have that, that can be very isolating, right? And I think during that time, there wasn't even like a Bumble BFF or like a way to find
there's a Bumble
friends.
BFF?
Oh
I didn't know that.
There's a Bumble BFF.
I love that.
Super cute.
Very cute. I actually have a couple friends that have found friends on Bumble BFF.
That. Before you continue though, I feel like because we did the research and we did the research to find out and figure out what the loneliness epidemic was. But can you talk a little bit about what that is?
Yes. So there's been a lot of research on the loneliness epidemic, and within that research, they actually found that people who are Black or identify as Black, so under the umbrella of Black, right? We have people from the African Diaspora, we have people from the Caribbean Diaspora, we have all these people, right? They were 10% higher right? And feeling lonely, right? And when you feel lonely, I'm sure if you're watching this and you felt lonely, it can easily go into depression. Easily. Because when you're lonely, you're isolated, right? And when you're isolated, you're thinking negative thoughts. Nobody's there to pull you out. You can't pull yourself out, right? And that easily trickles into depression. And when you are depressed, it's doable, of course, right? But it can be very hard to pull yourself out of that by yourself, right? So that's why it's so important. And that's why it's so important, right, for us to help people to create community and find each other as soon as they get here, especially those who are immigrating from Africa. Imagine. Can you imagine?
Yeah, like
that's next
moving
level.
from Boston or from Worcester to Philly is hours. Like continents.
And there are people who are leaving their family, leaving their friends, coming here by themselves to figure out, how do I make a new life for myself? I always think of my parents. When I think of TribeMeets, I think of, I wonder what TribeMeets could have done for my mom and my dad, right? And that gives me like the motivation to keep going, because we don't want people to come here and feel alone. We want to be able to intersect that and say, okay, you don't have to worry about the loneliness epidemic. We got you. We know that you're 10% higher in the research, but we're trying to bring that down. Like, what can we do to combat what is happening within the United States?
Meeting a need.
Literally.
So
I love that. That's so
wonderful.
good. That's so good. And so I feel like, with the loneliness, and I feel like this is maybe for your like therapist hat, for someone who might be feeling lonely, like, and maybe maybe they're not in the African diaspora or whatever, but they are still looking for community, or they're just looking for resources. What are some things that you might share with them to help with loneliness?
I would say, so if you're looking to find friends or just meet people, I would try Bumble BFF, right? If you're not in the DMV area and can't get access to TribeMeets, and if you're not from the African diaspora, right, I would try Bumble BFF. There's also this app called Geneva. So it's basically it's a place where you can go, and if you're whatever you're interested in, like you want to join a book club, there's probably a book club, right? And if it's like
like Meetup.
Kinda. It's like Meetup. Nice. Another one is Meetup, right? And then I would say, if you've moved somewhere, try to connect with your friends back home and see if they know people where you moved. So for me, when I moved to the DMV, it was a bit easier to create community because I knew people who knew people here, right? And I'm not scared to be like, hey, let me get Liz's number. Tell her I'm a text her, right? I'm gonna do that because I don't want to feel.
But you don't know how to network.
That's the end. When I have the end,
you said when you have the
when I have the end, honey, I'm good to go. But when I don't know you and you don't look like me, that's when I start feeling uncomfortable, right?
Like me,
So I would say, tap in the people that you already know and see what resources they have, right? See the people that they know wherever you are. Tap into these online. I mean, we're in a world of social media now, right? We gotta use it as much as we can to our benefit, because there are a lot of other things that come with social media, but if we can use it to our benefit, then we should, right? So I would say just be vulnerable about wanting a community. I think that it can be really hard for people to say, I need people. We all need people. I don't think God did not make us so that we would be alone, right? God literally made us and then made somebody else with us, right? So we are community. So we are meant to be with people. So be okay with that. Be vulnerable and say, I need people, and then figure out what avenue is best for you to find the people that you need.
That segues nicely into our first question. Which is, what does community mean to you?
Oh, community means everything to me. Community literally means everything to me. That's what keeps coming into my head. My community is filled with people that show up for me. And that's really important to me. If you are in my community, you show up for me and I show up for you, right? When I think of community, I think of warmth. I think of a safe landing place. I think of a place where I don't have to hide who I am. Like, my friends know me to be exactly who I am. How I show up is how I am, right? And I don't have to switch up. I don't have to, right? I don't have to do too much. I can just be me. My community is literally everything to me. And I'm about to leave soon, as we talked about. And I'm going to be leaving my community. And I've already started thinking of, okay, you know that you can build community. How are you going to do that in Ghana?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Wait, because I moved to Ghana. I missed that.
Yeah.
Are you?
Oh, we were talking offline.
Yeah. Yes, girl. I am out of here. I am headed to Ghana. I'm going to be coming back on a quarterly basis, God willing, because we still have our events for TribeMeets.
Yeah, that's amazing, though.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Big deal.
Thank you so much. But I've already been thinking, because community is so important to me, I've been thinking about, okay, I've been doing the same thing that I just said to do, right?
Yeah.
I've been tapping into people to say,
so good.
okay, I know you lived in Ghana for a couple of years, or, you know, I'll tell somebody, yeah, I'm moving to Ghana, and I'm like, they're like, oh, I know, so, okay, yeah, give me the number. Before I have even stepped foot in Ghana, I already have
setting up stuff.
like 5-6 people that I have connected with and said, hey, I'll be here at this time, would love to connect with you, and they're so open to it, right? So yeah, community is everything.
Yeah, and I think even just, you know, what I think, and so if you haven't guessed just yet what the episode is about, it's about community and connection, you know, and it doesn't matter whether you're married or not, we all need connection, we all need community.
Like, I love how you said it, we all need people.
Yeah.
And I think that's so good, because saying it in such a simple manner, I think a lot of people feel like, well, I'm okay with myself, or I'm cool. I don't like, people have too much drama. Like, I don't like the drama. Like, I just want to do my own thing.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we all need that.
You got to.
We need that.
I think a lot of people have also been scarred and traumatized by other people.
Trauma's
right?
real.
Right?
Yeah.
And when you go through something traumatic with another person, it kind of clouds your judgment on how you view people in community. But I say, like, don't try really hard to break through that and fight through that, because I think deep down, you know that you need somebody.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know that you want friends.
Yeah.
Right, but you're trying to tell yourself that you don't need it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we all need people. And I think even for the individuals who are, I don't even want to say introvert or extrovert, because that's not necessarily the criteria, but for those people who might even have a smaller circle, you still have people in that circle.
Yes.
It's still a circle.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, we are not called to do life alone, you know,
Absolutely.
and that's in relationship with women to women, men to men, husband to wife, you know, we're all called to be in relationship. Like, we are relational creatures, you know, and I think that it really is just hearing that there is such a thing as a loneliness epidemic. Like, it's heartbreaking.
And
you
that
know?
people that look like us are 10, you know what I mean? Like, 10 times higher.
Right. So we're not
To
even talking about, like,
experience it.
we are
Right.
10 times higher.
Right.
And so, you know, it's a blessing that you are meeting a need. And I think that is very similar to Marriage Pinnacle, where the thing is, during the pandemic, that's, you know, even though Memi had the idea, but we came together during the pandemic because we were like, there's a need, you know, and the thing is, we understand and recognize that marriage is hard. Other people recognize it. Why are we not in community with each other?
Talking about it.
Yes.
I mean, we all recognize and are doing and kind of going through very similar experiences. We need to build community. That is the point. Like, that is why we're here. And so that is the need that we are attempting to fill as well, is that let's do this together. Let's journey this difficult terrain together and really thrive in our relationships and our marriages.
And alleviate some of that, like, pressure, because it is possible to feel lonely in a marriage. Like, you might feel like you're on an island. You might feel lonely from just your husband or wife. And I feel like having that community around to be like, wait, does your husband do that too? Yeah, and they'll be like, yeah, girl. And then it's like, okay, so he's not.
So, like, it's not just me.
It's not just me.
Okay.
You know, that in and of itself is healing.
You be like, I thought I was
crazy.
No, for real.
Yeah.
That is so true. I used to have a podcast called Reporting Life from Adulthood.
Oh, I love that name. Cute name.
Once we started TribeMeets, I wasn't able to do it anymore, but that was the premise of that podcast too. Is like, we go through a lot of the same things as we enter adulthood, and we never talk about it as a unit, right? As a community. And I got so much good feedback from that podcast, because people would be like, "Yo, me too, me too," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know. We all literally are going through this. We're all just trying to figure it out." That's literally my motto. People are like, "Oh, Abby, you seem like you got." I'm just trying to figure it out.
We all trying to figure it out.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
Figure it out.
literally. And we're like, we can finally, like, well, I'm finally saying double digits because maybe double digits 2 years ago. But we're just like, and they're like, why are y'all 10 years, 12 years in the game? And we're like, we still.
Well, you've been married for how long?
12.
Girl.
Yeah, 12.
Y'all, I was so sorry. Listen, I speechless because she's telling me she has an 11-year-old, and I was really perplexed about that because I couldn't understand how she has an 11-year-old, and I'm hearing that she's been married for 12 years, and that's confusing me again. So wow, you look great.
Thank you so much.
Both of you.
Thank you. That means a lot. Yes, I have a full blown man in the house.
Yes, you do.
Yes,
you do. Who's teaching you all the slang?
So you're talking to me any type. He's taking your friends. He's like, "No, mom, you gotta chill." Like,
no, literally.
What are you supposed to do? Okay. Anyway,
we can talk about that, my girl, because at every stage.
Like, what are you supposed to do?
Every stage.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a different workload. I'll tell you that. It's a different type of workload.
Different brain cells you're using. Different brain cells for sure.
Literally different parenting skills for sure.
Yeah. So, all right. So you talked to us about. So this is I guess for Abby the CEO, but then also for Abby the therapist, right? So we understand. I think all of us can say that we understand the importance of community. We've seen the benefits of it. We've like all thrived, right? But how would you, or what would you say about the importance of community as somebody who's single?
That's a good question. Do you know what? I think that for me, it's been really helpful to have a community where I have my single girlies and I have my girlies who are in long-term relationships, right? And I think it's really important to have both. Yeah. I think having the single girlies in my community allows me to talk about dating, right? And just be like, yo, I just went on this date, because you imagine? And they're like, yeah, girl, I'm here too. Like, we in the trenches together. And it allows me not to feel lonely. It allows me not to feel like, why isn't this happening for me?
Like something's wrong with
you.
Yeah.
Something is wrong with me. Because it can easily feel like that, right? I've definitely had times where I'm like, is it me?
Am I the drama?
Am I the drama?
Like, what am I doing something wrong? Am I saying something wrong? Am I giving off the wrong impression? But then when I talk to my friends and everybody's going through the same thing, I'm like, oh, okay.
Again, I'm not crazy.
But then when I talk to my friends who are in healthy long-term relationships, it's good to talk to them and just be like, hey girl, this is what I'm going through. And they're like, oh no, like, you know, you stay true to yourself, or think about this, or think about that, or maybe you could have said this differently, or have you thought about, like, it's really nice to have that balance of people who are doing it right, and the people who are in the trenches with me. It allows me not to feel lonely. It's so funny. I've been single for quite some time. I've been single probably for 4 or 5 years now. And you know, I've dated within that, but I haven't had a boyfriend within that. But it's so crazy that I've never felt like lonely. I know it's so crazy to say.
That's
and I know people are like, okay, girl.
No, but that's a testament to what you're building. Yes. That's incredible.
And sometimes I get scared because I'm like, girl, no, for real.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I asked a friend, I said, you know, when it was a guy friend, I said, when you look at me, like if I'm in the bar or something and you see me, like, what do you think you see? Because I was thinking, like, why do men not come up to me, right? To talk to me, not the men I want anyway. So,
let's be clear.
But, and he was telling me, like, he's like, you look like you're all set. And
Can
I
we get
said,
into a question?
if I want to look like I'm all set.
But no,
I cannot look all set.
No, and I think this is, again, we're not going to digress. We're not going to digress. But I think this is so, please.
Yeah.
I think that at the end of the day, right, Abby is walking and being the best version of herself in the state that you're in, right? And to me, this is just personal. I believe, just like you said, you have not come across the guy that is ready for that. Because there should be no way that a guy who feels like either can match you or are going to take you to a higher place will be intimidated by that. Like, I genuinely believe, absolutely.
That makes sense.
No, it's factual because, and it's like, when I get passionate like this, I'm not coming from like the big sis been married. I just feel that there is no person out there who is going to be intimidated, they're either like, that person matches, she gonna bring exactly what I need to the table, or I know me and her together will be great. And I feel like that is all you need. So you're right, the people that's coming up to you, they're not gonna give you that. They're not. And you just have not come across the person who's going to do that. I genuinely believe that.
I genuinely believe that too.
I believe that.
No, for real. I hope so too, because I'm like, damn, if you see me and I'm living a good, like I'm having a good time, and I'm with my friends, you know what I mean? I'm like, I would hope that would be attractive to you. But for you to be like, oh no, she's I want somebody a little broke. I want somebody a little broke.
She had to, and I think it comes, well, my husband hates when I try to speak for men, but he be like, you know, man. But I feel like it has something to do with that a man's need to feel needed, and it's like, and they create this thing in their head where it's like, oh, she got it all together, she don't need me. But it's like there's so many things a woman needs. It is insecurity because there's so many things that a woman needs. I don't care how independent, how fly, how
don't nobody want to go fix a broken toilet.
And you know what? When I came out of my relationship, I was so broken that I had promised myself that I would never let my joy be in somebody else's hands. I was so down. I'm like, damn.
That's it right there.
Like my happiness, he was the source of my happiness. And it took me to not be with him to realize what brings you joy? Exactly. And I worked so hard on that, and it's just fearful to me to even hear that, like, you're scared of that. Like, no, you can't be scared of that, because I worked really hard.
I'm not jeopardizing that.
I can't let go
of it. It's dangerous.
It's
risky. Like we had a whole entire episode on joy and finding joy and happiness, and that was one of our key takeaways was that you cannot put your joy or your happiness, your responsibility into anyone else's hands. It has to be on you to develop that. So if someone sees that in you and they're intimidated by it, that's sort of like flashing red. That's a red. I mean, you know, if you ask me, but
no, y'all are right.
So that is, and I feel like, you know, even though the three of us are having a conversation, I think that speaks to a girl out there who is feeling or has maybe thought the same thing. Like, I know I got it all together. I know I'm a package that anybody would be happy with. Like, why? Because I feel like I relate to that with the friends that I have who are single. Like, they bring so much to the table that, like, any man would be like in heaven to date them.
It would be so interesting to hear the point of view of a man. Like, I think it would have been, it's really, I think men think so differently.
No, they do.
From women, that me having my things together may not actually be what a man wants, but the man that I need, I need him to be happy that I have my things together.
And even if they don't need you to have your stuff together, it's still seen as like, it's not a demerit, right? It's not a con. It's more just a pro or a plus or a healthy addition. Because nowadays you do hear guys say, "I want a woman that knows what she wants. A woman that has her life together. A woman that has her head on right." You know, so I do.
And that doesn't mean finances, guys.
No. Put that out there. A man doesn't have to. Because you don't want a man that wants you to pay the bills. You know what I'm saying?
No,
you don't want that either.
Never gonna want
that. So it's like you just want someone that is comfortable enough in themselves.
Yes,
that's what it is.
That's what I'm saying. Go to I'm telling you.
Like what you said, I agree. So it's so that what you offer and what you bring to the table, it's never a chip on them. Right. It's never. It's never a knock to them.
Yeah.
But
that's
I don't know. Like, I feel like we can just go all the way.
I know. It's so easy.
We really keep going down, because immediately I'm just like, but is it because of what society expects from men, and men have to have all this, and
even building TribeMeets. I think I talked to you about this a little bit. I was like, building TribeMeets has actually not made it any easier. I remember my friend was like, "Oh, but you'll be in places with other men who are also entrepreneurs in building," and that doesn't really change much, right? Because you're still looked at as like, oh, now she was doing all these. Now it's really hard to win sometimes as a woman and trying to date. And I think that date, I know we're like really going.
No, we're not.
Okay,
we're not. So we like. We like the conversation.
I think that I really think dating has gotten so tough. Like, I'm so happy that you guys have found your people, because you're not in this world of like having to date the men right now. I think that social media has really clouded all of our judgments when it comes to dating, in terms of like what we want it to look like how it's supposed to be packaged, because we can get that really quickly on Instagram, right? And I don't think people know how to talk to people anymore. I think after COVID it got worse. Like people, literally, men don't. Maybe, and women too. I'm not gonna single out men, but people don't know how to talk to each other anymore. And you can tell when you're out and you're dating, right? So,
girl, and I think we talk about it. It's not a shameless plug, but we talk about our conversation cards. Like we have conversation cards that are geared towards married folks, but then also geared towards dating and engaged, because just like you said, people are having difficulty talking to one another. So here's a nice pretty little deck with 101 questions.
No, that's good.
Let's start here. If we can get through this deck, then we can keep talking. That's because really I'm telling you, like you said, it's like when people are talking, they're not even asking the right questions.
No, for real. Now listen, that's a word. That is such a word. I'm like I said, I'm a therapist, and I have a client who we talk about dating a lot, and she's out there in the dating world. And I'd be like, did you ask that? Are you thinking about this? And are you thinking about that?
I encourage you to.
Yeah, no, for real. For real. Oh, yeah. Because I think that right now, it's like it's like this culture around like, I want you, but I'm not going to let you know that I want you.
Yeah.
Do you know how like confusing that is out there?
Absolutely.
Right? It's like, oh, I can't tell you like how much I like you. I can't pick up the phone soon.
I gotta wait 4 days before I text you back.
I'm 32. I'm not doing that.
No, honestly.
Do you know what I'm like? I'm gonna call you. Actually,
I like you. I'm like,
you gonna know.
Yeah, and I love that type of boldness, and I think, and again, I think that even circles back to like even like this connection piece, right? So for individuals who are like lonely, do you, or from your experience, from your research, do you find that this, and I don't want to use the word self-inflicted. I don't want to use this word because I don't want to be insensitive. But, like you said, it's this vulnerability piece to say that you're lonely, right? It is to say that like, I'm having a hard time being by myself, because I feel like at some points we are by ourselves, right? Yeah. But do you think that this loneliness that people feel, it's sometimes because people don't want to get out there and do the work to build community?
Yeah, it is uncomfortable though to be out there and put yourself out there. I think that we always be vulnerable, but it's really hard to be vulnerable, right? It's really hard to tell people what you actually need and communicate that. So I do think a part of it is just not getting out of your own way, right? And just not allowing yourselves to say like, I actually need something, right? Because I think that it's hard to, I think sometimes it can be hard when you're an independent person to say that you need people. Yeah, it is. But it is what it is, right? And if that's something that you desire, I always say this to my clients, if that's something that you desire, then you know that you have to work towards it. Yeah. If you don't desire it, cool.
Let it go.
That's it. It's fine, right? But if that's something that you know, if you're honest with yourself and you know you desire community, you're going to have to get out of your own way. And then we figure out how are you going to do that, right? What is the path to actually get to your desire that you want, which is community. Yeah. So, I completely agree with you.
That's good. And I think that that's like an interesting parallel with even marriage, right? Like I think that we, at least myself, and even you probably, I'm sure, have heard that a lot of times you'll see or hear that like couples, like they get divorced or whatever the case may be, and then you hear all of the stuff that happened and you're just like, so you were suffering in silence. Yeah. So you didn't like, you have other friends who are married, and like you didn't say anything.
But there's with African people,
of course,
there's this culture of like secrecy. Of course, you don't tell anybody your business. Absolutely. Even when you're young, you know not to tell family business. Oh, you don't talk to nobody about family business. Right? You pretend like you don't even know what's going on.
Whatever goes on,
exactly. So I think when you grow up like that, you're not. Of course, you're not going to say nothing.
You're not trained,
right? Yeah. You really have to. You have to train yourself to open up, because your default is Pim.
Yeah. Pim. For those of you who are not from the African diaspora, Pim just means like quiet.
Nothing. Right?
Nothing.
That's what you're trained to do. Yeah. That's your default. Yeah. So you have to be aware, that's my default. Yeah. How do I work against that? Yeah. Like, what am I doing so that I'm not suffering alone, so that I'm able to communicate with people? And you don't got to tell the whole world. Maybe you have 1 or 2 friends.
Yes, exactly.
That's it.
Trusted friends.
And I think that's the thing. Another thing, some people feel like, I need to have like a vast community, and it's really you just need a handful.
Just quality people. That could be 2 people in your corner, and you're good.
Think about it. I think that goes right back to our statement about like your circle can be small and you still have community. Because you're getting everything you need from 2 people.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's not that we need you to have all of these friends to not feel lonely, because again, people have all these friends and they still feel lonely.
Yep.
You know,
that's so true.
So it's not about necessarily the number, it's the quality of those relationships that you have.
And do they create safe spaces for you? Like, do you both create safe spaces for each other to share and not feel judged? Right? That's the big thing. And if you get that from 2 people, keep it.
Golden.
That's good.
Golden. Yeah. That's good. Memi, you got something?
Yeah. So I think we were kind of talking about the importance. We've been talking about the importance of community and collaboration and relationships. How would you say that goes into sort of like family? Like, because I think when I think of community, I think about like my mother, my father, my siblings, and my friends too, and like cousins, uncles, aunts. So it's like, how do you kind of look at like family as community?
That's such an interesting question. You know what's so crazy? Family is definitely community.
Yeah.
I feel a butt coming on.
I know. I feel like I put family in a different category.
There's nothing wrong with that. Talk to us about that.
But like, I want to hear more.
Talk to us about it.
I feel like I play a role within my family.
Okay.
Right? When I think of my parents, I hope nobody watches. Okay.
Only say what you're comfortable with.
Okay.
Obviously, yeah.
I think that when it comes to my parents, just a background on my family, right? Like I said, I am from Ghana and I have 6 siblings, right? But
what's your placement?
I'm the last born.
Oh, you're the baby.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I'm the baby.
You give firstborn energy.
You know what? Thank you.
Crazy.
I don't like when people like, oh yeah,
I can tell you the baby.
Like, don't do that.
Like your baby. Because babies be coasted.
Yeah, they be coasted.
They be relaxed.
They don't be bosses.
They don't be nothing.
We joking clearly, but you definitely get firstborn energy. That's crazy.
Because my little siblings gonna watch us like, what?
Not too much for us. Like, what? Please.
So yeah, I have 6 other siblings, and they're like.
Oh, so there's 7 of you.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, but I am the only one from both my parents.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
But I didn't learn of this until I was like in my teens. Like nobody, we were all raised that we were full brother, and we are, honestly. That's how I see my brothers and my sisters.
I love it.
But because I'm the last born, I was the only one that was like fully raised in America. I was born in the UK, went to Ghana when I was 5, and then came here when I was 7. And I've been in America since then and go back and forth from Ghana to Ghana, so forth and so on. So because I was the only one that was like truly raised here, went to school here, college, graduate school, there's like this role that I play within my family, especially within my parents, is like the one that knows like everything, right? So like I'm the healthcare proxy. I'm like, if you have questions about this, I'm the one on Google.
Research,
do you know what I mean? And I feel like I play such a certain role within my family that, of course, my family is like a part of my community, but they're different because of the role that I play. Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. Absolutely.
To my nieces and nephews, like they look up to me, right? Like. My niece is going to college next year. Like I'm the one that's like, oh, okay, did you do this, or have you thought about this, or do you know what I mean? So I feel like when I'm with like my friends, I could just be like silly and just be like, you know what I mean?
Do you feel like you're on, like when you're with your family? Not on in like you're having to wear like,
but like caretaker.
Yes. Especially with my parents, I definitely feel, and they both have their own health issues. I definitely feel like sometimes when I get a phone call from like my mom, I'm just like I hope everything's okay. Do you know what I mean? I have to put on like my hey, what's up? Are you okay? What's going on?
Right.
Like because what do you need? You need me to call the pharmacy? Okay, cool. Oh, you need to make an appointment? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like that's the
Are
role.
They here?
My mom is here.
Okay.
My dad retired back home last year, but my
Okay.
mom is actually going to Ghana this week or next week. But she goes back and forth. She was just here for a couple of months.
Okay.
So yeah.
So it's kind of like when you think of your family, you think of like, this is the thing I take care of.
Yeah, I feel like
this is my community, but you feel like
a sense of responsibility.
Yeah, for sure, for sure with my parents. Even like with my brothers who live in Ghana. Like I'm so aware of the privilege that I have being raised here that I don't take it lightly. And yeah, I don't play around with like.
Well, that explains the firstborn energy.
It really does
crystal clear why we probably have that firstborn energy.
It explains it
because we're firstborn daughters.
Yeah.
So I can definitely relate to seeing my family and feeling like I'm kind of like I won't call myself the head of household because. They all gonna get.
I'm a big brother.
They will all get in a tizzy if I said that. But it definitely feels like they call me the family program manager. Like if everything is crumbling, you're kind of like, okay, let me like we need help. Like
same. That's how I feel.
You put everything together. So I can kind of understand that.
Yeah,
I definitely understand.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
that definitely makes a lot of sense. And so, okay, so you were saying that you feel like it looks different. So the community looks different.
So that's possible. You can have different types of community.
Exactly. Yeah. And my family is just a different type of community.
I think which is good.
I think that's fair.
It is what it is, right?
Yeah, it is what it is. You know, and I think that also, I like the perspective of that too, right? Because I think that also goes to show that like you were able to build, and I feel like that also makes the word community and family interchangeable in a way as well, right? Because I'm sure the women that you're talking about, even the guys and girls that you're talking about are a family for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but they're just a different type of family.
Like what they call it, something family, like not learned family, but there's
chosen
a word.
Family.
Yeah,
chosen family. Get the words that
and I think chosen family can be associated as something that's negative, like a negative connotation. Because it's usually, I usually hear chosen family when I'm thinking about LGBTQ people, right? Who have been shunned or, you know, not accepted by their family, and then they choose their family, right? I think for me, it's not really negative. It's just, you know, I have my amazing family, and then I have the people that I've also been friends with, just like y'all. I've literally been friends with the same people since I was like 8. Wow. And then the people that I bring in is like different parts of my life that are, and they all gel so
I love that.
Some of my favorite times are usually when I'm celebrating my birthday. Because I get to have
together.
And, you know, one of my favorite compliments during my birthday is when people come up to me like, you have a really good group of friends. I do.
That's all me.
My character is A1.
Right? And then they start to be friends, and I'm like, I just love connection.
I love that.
I love connection. I love community.
I love that you're like in, you know, walking kind of like, because that I feel like that is so aligned to be like your purpose, right? Like your brand speaks, like the way you talk about it, how passionate you are. It speaks directly like, okay, this is something that is like in you.
I love
you
it.
be doing that is amazing.
Interesting, and I think that even just what Memi said, I think is like even important to note is that like a lot of times you can, when you're business minded, you're just trying to solve a problem, and then your passion behind it comes after. But you are passionate about community regardless, and so it's just a nice segue and the marrying of the two. So I really love that, and I think that's just kind of the same thing for us as well. Like we really love marriage, like we love, and it's not even the act of getting married. It's like, you know, marriage is hard. Like but then like, how can we now bring that to the forefront or whatever? And so that is, because I remember Memi, when she was new in the game, and I'm gonna talk about marriage. Listen, I'm gonna land. When I was married and new in the business game, she's like, I can do this for free.
That is my
She's like, I love everything about this. I can do this for free. And I'm like,
no.
I mean, I love the helping aspect too, but
again, that's where the balance comes.
So that's where the balance comes.
Because I definitely be like, I mean, money, I got right. She's like, we can pay.
Y'all can pay. Respect. I'm like, let's have a free event. She's like, why would we do that? She's like, we're spending money. We need to get something back.
Something. But it's the passion. So it's like, obviously, and we say that jokingly, right? Like there are things that we would willingly give away, and we do. There's a lot of things that we like. Our page is full of free resources. Literally, it's free. go on our page and look up something, you're gonna find it. But I do believe like it's just like it's like the passion that we have for this allows us to create the community that we're building. So I think that that's just nice that this aligns, because again, like it's not like we said, oh yeah, we want Abby to come and talk about tribe. No, this is a natural, organic thing. And then just hearing your story, it's like you really believe this, and you're a walking brand. Like you really believe this, and it's not just, oh yeah, I just want to be a millionaire. Like,
and I love that we share that. Like that desire to build community. And even though ours is for people that are in relationships and you know want that community, I love that we just have that going on.
All the time.
You know, another thing that as you guys were talking, I was just thinking if other ways to find community, if you're not in the African diaspora, I find that church.
I knew you was gonna say it. I know it. She was to say church.
Even at the well, I attend the well. We attend the well.
We gotta tell them a story about.
So let
me tell you about community again, which is crazy, right? And so, myself and Abby attend the well together, our church. And however, a friend of mine who is not even based here. She's based in Nigeria, but's been here for a little bit of time. Was like, oh my gosh, I have a friend that I should connect you to. She's a therapist. I think that'd be really good for you guys to connect. And then she's like, I think she goes to the well. And I'm like, okay, sure. And so we meet, and I'm just like, it's like the full circle. It's the full circle. So when we meet that way, and then weeks later, her PR company reaches out, and they like, we want to connect you guys with somebody we think would be great for your podcast. Mind you, we had met, we had chatted and everything. We're like, oh yeah, we're definitely gonna connect. And then like weeks later, she's like, yeah, her name is Abby, and I'm like, I'm like,
I just met
her. So it's just like the power of community. I just think it's like literally ordained, I think a lot of times. And like for us, like we feel very, very blessed that like as we're growing our platform, like we have just organically met some amazing people that we've got to work with, that we've got to connect with. And, you know, just us sitting here, yes, the catalyst might have been her PR, but we had already met, which made this like such a seamless experience, but it was all based off of like connections and building community. So I think that that's just like that full circle moment, which I really appreciate.
Look at that. Vanessa's also,
she's amazing. Shout out to Vanessa.
If you're watching this, you are the ultimate
bridge builder.
Girl.
Bridge builder. Absolutely. She's so good. So shout out to Vanessa. But yes, so I feel like for you, I think that like from your clinical lens, Abby, can you talk to us a little bit about just how do you like reinforce connection and community within relationships, like between like a couple or like who might be going through a good time, hard time, whatever the case may be. Like how do you like reestablish?
I have realized through therapy and being a therapist that people really don't talk to each other in relationships. Marriages don't really talk to each other. And when they do talk to each other, there's like a condescending tone behind it. It's really all about tone. I've realized, right? I have a couple clients who have such a tough time communicating with their partners. And I always ask them, are you talking to your partner the way that you're talking to me here in therapy? Because if you did, there would be progression. I really believe that. They're like, well, no, I don't feel like I can be that on. I'm like, I promise you.
Try it.
Try just to be as honest as you possibly can. Be vulnerable. And I always say, you know, like, you know how to be vulnerable. You're doing it here, right? But sometimes the partner's not creating a space.
Safe space.
Right? For that vulnerability to come through. So then they're keeping it inside and telling me in therapy. I said, no.
Tell me, but then go tell them.
Exactly.
Go tell them.
Exactly. So I find that communication is really, really important. I know we always talk about it's a buzzword, communication.
We talk about
that's our favorite word.
My God, communication is so important. Being vulnerable is so important. Not being scared. I think another thing is like people get scared to be that honest because they're like, well, I don't want to argue, or I don't want to do. And I'm like, well, sometimes you have to go through the argument to get on the other side, because the other option is y'all are just not talking and y'all are in this terrible space
avoidance
for so long,
and just
and then
it's a short term, like avoidance is short term safety behavior, right? Like yes, it keeps you guys from not arguing, and you guys can go about your day. But again, the long term consequence of that is like, again, you're not getting to the root of your issue. You're not able to get to the other side, you know? So I think just like you said, yes, the argument might not be what you want to hear, or you don't want to go through that experience, but my tone, am I defensive? Am I able to check myself? Am I able to receive this information? And I feel like a lot of times you don't want to deal with that. As more so than the topic at hand. Do you know what I mean?
When I talk to my clients, I'm like, tell me exactly how you said it. And they're like, well, I said it. I'm like, okay, let's break it down, right? If somebody was talking to you like that, how are you gonna be accepting of it? Are you gonna be accepting of it, right? Like, are you? And I think one thing is like, people lose consciousness and lose awareness when they're in it. I've noticed that.
Absolutely.
Right?
I'm like you disassociate. Like, you feel like, okay, it's not until you see, like, it's like if you watch a movie of yourself.
Like, oh, that's where I messed up. That was it right there.
I'm wilding.
So a lot of my work,
feel it.
a lot of my work is teaching people how to be aware and mindful when they're in it. I'm like, we need to teach you different techniques so that whether you're focusing on your breathing, so it brings you back into the present time, and you can be aware of like, oh, I'm talking in a different tone. Let me change my tone in the moment, not later when you're sitting here talking to me. No, I need you to start doing it in the moment, right? Notice when you're starting to retreat. Why am I retreating? Communicate with your partner. I'm retreating because of A, B, and C. Or I feel like I'm shutting down because of A, B. You have to communicate even when it's really, really hard. And I find that people have a tough time doing that. Not because they don't want to, because sometimes you just disassociate in those really tough conversations.
That was good.
And some of the things that me and Lara teach is about that. Like when we're talking about conflict resolution, that how you say something matters just as much as what you're saying. Because so many times you can have a valid point and it's like, hey, this really hurt my feelings or this really offended me. But it's like you're saying it in a screaming tone, or you're saying it in a way that is not acceptable, or easily digestible, and then that person is now focusing on who are you talking to?
Who are you talking to?
And then it becomes something totally
and I don't forgot about what we was talking about. And I'm just wondering who you bumped your head and who you talking to.
So and it just came up to me when you said tone, because I think a lot of people don't. They be like, that's just how I talk. When I'm upset,
that's a favorite. That's just how I talk.
That's not gonna work.
But you also need to work on that.
It's either you want a healthy marriage or you don't. So you gotta figure it out.
That's
for real, or you don't. So
literally,
you gotta pick one. I would also say that it's really helpful to figure out what your own issues are first, right? So let's say you let's say you have an issue with like control, right? But you're in a marriage, but it's hard for you to let go of things, or you tell your husband to do something and then you're like, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna mess up? Right? Is he gonna do how I want it to do? Like, you gotta check yourself with the things that you have first, acknowledge it, figure out how to deal with it, right? So that you're not bringing that upon your wife or your husband when you're asking of things of him, because that's also going to lead to conflict. Right? I think there's so much again, it comes back to self-awareness. Right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
There just has to be a lot of that when you are in a partnership with some, even with friendships, there has to be self-awareness.
Even with friendships.
It's no shocker that it completely elevates when you're in a marriage with somebody forever.
Can someone be taught self-awareness?
Yeah. For sure. Because you can be taught how to be mindful. I really believe in mindfulness.
You know me, I love me somebody. Be presently aware.
Because that's what it really means, is that you're present. Right here. And if you're present, you're forced to say, okay, what am I doing? What am I thinking? How am I breathing? And
why are my fists so tight?
Exactly. You have to look. Because you have to check in with your five senses, right? When you're being mindful. And that forces you to be aware of yourself.
That's good.
Love that.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Abby, you just talking to me. Okay, so I love that we're able to kind of go back and forth, right? So for you as an entrepreneur, right, how do you feel, so valuing relationships, valuing relationship building and things like that, and you kind of touched on this a little bit when you said it's a little hard. How do you kind of navigate this entrepreneurial space that you're in terms of dating? Because it seems like you're self-aware, you're a therapist, so you think it's like you have an innate obviously through training and all of that stuff, but also maybe what you actually know, you are more aware of red flags. You're more aware of you're able to be mindful more like innately because you've done the work and things like that. But how has that helped you navigate the dating space?
I think, I always say to my friends, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing.
You smirking, so I don't know.
But I think that okay, so I feel like I'm old enough to know what I want and what I need in a romantic relationship, right? Because of, past relationships, because of the years that I've put into myself. And I think that sometimes knowing exactly what you want, sometimes it feels like a hindrance almost. Okay, I know it only feels like a hindrance because sometimes it I don't know how to explain this.
Okay.
I think sometimes I'm too quick to say
Nope.
yeah. And my nope is like, nope, move on.
Yeah.
Ain't no like, nope, oh, let me no. I'm like, I always say like, I'm too old to be thinking too hard about if this. I just feel like how people come together should be easy. I don't think it should be hard. I know relationships are hard, but the coming together, I don't think that should be hard. I feel like that should feel okay. I want to hear it.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree.
I thought you said you
No, I want to hear. No, I'm like, no, sister, you are correct.
Yeah, you are. I don't think that should be hard at all. I feel like if you connect with somebody and it's just there,
especially in the beginning.
Right. And I think that because I know what I want, because I know, I'm in tune with like what red flags are for me, my red flags, right? And if I see that, I'm just like, oh no, I'm good. And then and my friends are like, damn, like, can you give it a second? And I'm like, no, I don't really feel like I want to give it a second, especially because I've been single for a while. Again, this is why I'm like, don't get too comfortable because I've been single for a while and I have such a great community. I'm like, why am I gonna come and suffer? What for what?
Or why?
Why not come suffer?
Like I wish I could disagree with you, but I just can't because
I want to look for the.
I want to say like sometimes you have to put a little bit more to really get to know someone. But
in the beginning, no, that is honeymoon,
right?
It should be honeymoon.
It should be great.
It should be great, and it should be easy. It should be light. It should feel like. And I feel like things are set up for that way because in reality how hard things can get. So it's like if the foundation is beautiful and like when we're talking about like the honeymoon phase, yes, we know that the honeymoon phase is a thing, but we're also talking about like getting to know someone in the honeymoon phase. Not just like ignoring all the red flags because you're just like running off the vibe. Like we're not saying that. We're saying like in the honeymoon phase, it should be easy, it should be light, but you're still getting to know that person. You're still understanding their childhood. What did you go through? What are your traumas? What are your fears? Like you're still doing all that work, but you're just it's easy. Like we're connected with vibing.
Fun.
It's fun.
Like I want to get to know you. Like please tell me more. And I feel like if I
don't know, maybe I'm crazy.
No,
I don't know.
3 people share psychosis is a thing, but I don't think this is it's a thing. This is not it. This is not it. No.
And I think sometimes I can be hard on myself and be like, damn, did you like give that a chance? And I'm like, why do you have to force yourself to give something a chance if it's not working out? Like if it don't feel good, exactly. And that's one thing that I'm true to myself about, but then sometimes I worry, right? I'm just like, of course, I hope that I'm doing the right things, right? But I trust in God that, I'm trusting in God that,
God got you.
God got you. And we don't say that to be cliche because I really do feel like it's the truth, right? Like you are doing the things that you need to do for yourself internally, externally, right? You're showing up as your best version of yourself. You're doing the work, the areas that you feel like you need to continue working on. You're doing that. You're placing yourself in situations where you are connecting with people. Right. So all of those things are happening. It is, I think, a matter of timing, right? And it's so, and I hate when people say, I know, you just want to say God's timing, but
but it is though.
But it is because think about it. If you're doing your own time and then you wasted the 7 years, then God give you something that's like
no, for real.
So
and I've never done anything successful that God didn't say yes to. It's never literally happened. Everything that I've done that has bear fruit or been successful is because God was like, go time.
Love that.
That's it.
Literally.
And I think too, like curb your worry. And it's like somebody might say this should not be coming from a married girly, but the way I look at it is like, because I am married, I can promise and guarantee you're better off living your best life as a single woman than to be married to the wrong person.
I literally, that'd be my thought process.
No, but it's the
I'm
truth.
like, I can't settle. I don't want to settle. Like, I'm literally terrified of settling.
Yeah.
You should be.
I'm terrified.
And you should be. We were just talking off camera. You were like, oh yeah, because I'm gonna go until I can't.
Yeah.
Until you can't.
No, for real.
Because when your husband be like, sit down, you're gonna be like, all right, so I'm sitting down.
That's exactly.
What else?
What else?
Anything else, sir?
Yeah. So and then that's the
exactly
thing. So like you should absolutely.
absolutely.
This is the time, and I don't think you should worry about like, am I too comfortable? No, you're because the thing is, you're not comfortable and not doing anything. You're literally building businesses. Yeah. You are helping therapy.
And
like,
who knows? Like maybe God needed TribeMeets to be born and to be at a certain place so he could have so TribeMeets can have your undivided.
Yeah.
Because what if you get married and then
you're right. Because when I'm in a relationship, I am.
Oh, see, you already know
relationship.
That.
I'm gone.
Yeah,
like, what?
No.
My man called. Gotta go. I'm so in it. So that this definitely needed to happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
season.
Season, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we know that it's all ordained. So, and we say that to also any single girl or single guy that's out there and like, what about me? What about me? But are you doing all the things that you need to do now? Because I feel like, we talk about, when is it my turn? When is it my turn? When is it my turn? I am so big on preparation, right? Like, you have to prepare first before you're like this beautiful butterfly, this dessert, this thing. Everything requires preparation, right? Like, if you're making anything, anybody knows that you don't just open the fridge unless you're buying something store-bought, but like whatever you want to eat and prepare, you have to prepare. The ingredients have to go in. It has to be the right temperature. It has to be the right quantity. All of those things need to happen, right, before you get this delicious meal. And I think a lot of times we just want to skip processes. And then you taste it, you're like, this don't taste that good. This is missing something.
Yeah, it's true.
And why have to go over things time and time again when you could just do the work now? And for me, that's the therapy talking, because I was not like this before I got married. I feel like it took me a couple years in there.
Because it was coming. Because I'm like, we got married kind of young.
Yeah,
so
and I know.
We didn't have that
when you guys got
So
married.
I was 27.
And I was 25.
She was 25.
We were young. Like, looking back, it's like, what?
And I was just like, and I'm like, when I think about like 20, I thought I was God's gift to this earth.
It is.
No, it is. No, I'm playing my face. It is. But I'm talking about, like, I thought ready-made, like how I was coming was God's gift.
You thought the dish was prepared.
I thought I was already prepared. All the ingredients was aligned. I was like, you taste me, you're like, oh, this needs a little bit of something else.
A little bit salty.
It's a little salty.
Undone.
Let's try again. And it took a couple of years in there to figure out, oh yeah, Lara. Yeah. Where we at now is way better. This tastes way better than it did a couple years ago.
Girl, I'm still getting cooked. I'm still in the oven, not done yet. Like 12 years in, still 12 years in, but because it never stops.
But that number, right? Because if you think about it, right, your son is 11, right? Mm-hmm. And you would still call your son a baby.
He is my baby, for sure.
So that's the low key. That's the same thing. We're 12 years in, 10 years in. We're technically still babies, right? Yeah. So like it's like we're double digits, all this stuff. That just means we tolerated and we got through a lot. I don't mean tolerate in a bad way. Y'all know that's not what I mean. But I mean more so like we went through a lot of stuff to get here, but we're learning.
We're still learning.
Like think about it. We're still babies. And we're still being, like we have to go through a lot. And that's good and bad to get where we are now. But we're technically still babies. Do you know what I mean? So
and that's why I'm happy you said that, because it's like I never want to sit up here like we're experts, because we're just not. No. Lara is the clinical part, but a lot of it is just y'all going through it with us. Like, we're doing this as a group, and that's the community, that's the connection. And we hope that we're like being real and raw, so that if you can relate, that you feel like you can take things from it, because. Yeah, it's a process. And so, Lara, when you were saying like be prepared, I was sitting here like, who was prepared? I wasn't. Not me.
Yeah, so if you haven't, please check out that episode with Asa and DP. That was part of our dating in ... series, and they're dating in their 20s, and it was just a really good episode that it doesn't matter how young you are, you're being intentional about the questions that you're asking, the work, because a lot of times you get married and then you find out all the crazy things you need to work about yourself on, and I felt like they were so...
They're really doing the work.
Pre-marriage, which you don't hear that all the time.
It's so refreshing. Yeah. Because so often you see people that, like we were just talking about, like the honeymoon phase, right? Like you see people get engaged in the honeymoon phase because it feels so good and it feels so, warm and fuzzy.
So light.
And you're just like,
so
I
light.
love this. I love you. I just want to be with you the rest of my life. And then it's like, especially when you're like a little bit older in age, you're just kind of like, we don't have time to waste. Eggs is dropping every month.
That's so true.
Let's move this along. But it's like it's not until you get into it that you realize, like, oof. I got here because I was just trying to knock these babies out before my eggs dried up or whatever people say. And I'm here now and I'm seeing that there are so many things that we just don't. We're not aligning on. We're not seeing eye to eye. We're not vibing. And it's like we're here to like help you work through those things, but there has to be willingness on both sides. And I think that's the problem that we run into sometimes. Is there's not willingness on both sides to work through the problem. Because I believe that majority of marital issues are solvable, are fixable.
Agreed.
If both people are doing the work and doing that deep work, because there could be so much trauma, so much history, so much anger and things that could be deeply rooted, but it is like it's all healable. Like our spirits and our soul are just like our bodies. Like our bodies can heal. So can our spirits, so can our souls. So I feel like if people were really, 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 really down to do the work, it's possible.
I say it all the time. I say to my patients all the time, if you both are willing to give 125%, this will work. It will work. Not one of you giving 125 and trying to make up for the other person's lack.
And that's where resentment.
Exactly. And that's where, and I think that's where, at least in the marriages that I've seen, it's just kind of like one person is just like, I'm good. And once you have that, it's so hard to fight back. It's really hard to fight back from that. So,
and it's something, and I know that, Memi, you said you have another question. I think that one thing that you said earlier in the episode, Abby, was like, you said in relation to your client was that like, oh, I don't want to say nothing because I don't want to. You have to get to the other side. Like when you continue to hit this wall and say, I don't want to argue. I don't want to argue. You have to go through this wall in order to get on the other side. Because that, not even just the resentment, but the thing is you don't. And I think unfortunately a lot of times when people get engaged, and like you said, it feels good. It's like we need to go through the difficult to know what we're really up against and like how we solve conflicts, how we talk and communicate through things, how we compromise. Because the thing, again, is we know, even relationships, even friendships, right? You compromise, you always give and take. I think about even partnerships in business, right? Where one person is weaker, the other person is stronger. Where one person might have more knowledge about something, that's where I bend, that's where she bends. And I'm sure that's the same thing with you and Sade. Like, it cannot be my way all the time. This is not a partnership. We are not collaborating. It's the same thing with marriage. It's the same thing with relationships. Like, you must be able to bend a little bit. You must be able to be flexible in order to have this connection be sustainable. So
no, that's good. You're absolutely correct. You're talking. I'm
gonna take that.
So thank you guys so much. This conversation has been so good, and I think my last question for you is, where do you see TribeMeets? Like, what is your goal? Like, I want to hear your big dream. Like, where are you trying to take TribeMeets to?
We want TribeMeets to go. We always say TribeMeets to the world, and we really mean that, right? So we want to create the blueprint for Black people, right? For people of the African diaspora. But what we're creating is not just meant for people of the African diaspora, because there's so many other immigrant communities out there, right? So once we have the blueprint secured, we want to be able to provide this blueprint for the Asian community, for the Italian community, for the Indian community, for other communities that may need the same thing that we're providing for our community. We want to have our app. Right now, we're going to be starting with a Mighty Networks platform, but we want to also just have our own app in the app stores in the next couple of years. We want to be able to have events not just in the DMV, but expand
globally.
To other parts of the country first that have high populations of people of the African diaspora that are moving there, and then expand to out of the country, specifically Africa, right, where people are, so the opposite, like, so like me, I'm going back home, right? So I would love a TribeMeets. Really? Yeah. So I would love to use this. And I can really use the child as I'm going to Ghana. So we want to be able to provide these resources to the people that are moving back home as well.
Love that. This is awesome. You know, at the end of the day, we love community. I don't think that we can say it enough. We don't think we can stress the importance of it enough. And, you know, just having the CEO of TribeMeets just come and talk about it, you can see, again, the full circleness and the importance of community, not just in friendships or in connections, work relationships, but also in marriage and also in your friendships and things like that. So, you know, we thank you so much for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
It was such a great conversation.
You have to come back.
Of course.
And bring Sade.
Yeah, bring Sade. Will do.
Definitely bring Sade with you. And we want to thank you. If you have not yet, like, comment, and subscribe. Leave us a comment. If you want, we're going to link all of her information as well as Sade's information about TribeMeets in the description box, so you can stay up to date with all of their information, socials, all of that good stuff. You doing this? I never know where it's going to be, but whatever. But yes, all of the information will be there. And so where can they find you on Instagram?
My Instagram is Abby_Osei, ABBY_OSEI. And then TribeMeets is at TribeMeets, TribeMeets.
Yeah, so check it out, follow them, stay up to date, and get connected. We want to thank you guys for another episode of Chats from the Peak. Bye.